Awesome. People are streaming in. All right. Hey everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our webinar introducing Netvio. My name's Josh. You probably already know me. I'm product manager here at Kordz Australia. We are lucky enough to be joined by James Meredith, Netvio's technical director and co-founder. He's joining us from the UK. It is 5 a.m. there, so we're very appreciative to have him here and take us through everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. He's probably quite tight at the moment, but he's a guy.
Just a little. Just a
little.
Yeah.
I bet. Look, I understand a lot of people won't be able to attend today or may have to leave early. I've been told from a few people, but that's all right because we are recording the session and we'll be sending the video out once it's ready. Before I hand over to James, who will introduce us to the world of Netvio and what they do, give us a live demo of some things. I'd like to highlight, just how excited we are to be bringing Netvio to the Australian market and offering their products and solutions to you all. They are a UK-based company with a great deal of experience and success in the industry previously. Their values align very closely to our own here at Kordz, which is very nice. We design and engineer our products and solutions specifically to make the integrators' life, your lives, easier during installation, commissioning, and throughout really the whole project. That's our goal, and that's something we share. All of their products are already up on the Australian website as well. Everything's in the price list. We have plenty of stock in our warehouse. If you do have any questions during the webinar, shoot them through in the Q&A feature. We'll try and answer them as they go. If they're not relevant to exactly what we're talking about, we'll cover them at the end. But either way, more than happy to cover off any questions after the webinar. If you want a live demo or to get hands-on with some equipment, we can sort that out as well. Just contact myself or the team, and we'll figure that out. But either way, James, appreciate you being here. I'll hand it over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Josh. Thank you for attending today, everybody. We're thrilled to be working with Kordz in Australia, and we're really looking forward to serving your market with our products and helping you deliver some amazing installs with Netvio. I'm going to start with a bit of a presentation. I'm going to try and make most of today a demo of exactly what we do and exactly what you'll experience with our products. But I need some prompts at this time in the morning to just get me going. So hopefully you'll all be able to see the Netvio logo on the screen. So yeah, as Josh said, I'm James Meredith. I'm the co-founder and technical director. I've been working in the AV industry for 20 years now, and the majority of that time has been working on streaming of audio initially, but also video, and in the last 10 years, the dawn of AV over IP and really bringing that technology into the market. My business partner Derek, we met and founded the Network HD brand of AV over IP together, but we realized that there was something more that we could be doing with AV over IP, and that it shouldn't just be about the boxes, the hardware. It needs to be about the software experience as well, and that's really what we wanted to deliver with Netvio, was a very concise range of hardware, but having software first, AV over IP, HDBaseT and HDMI systems for video distribution. Simplifying complexity was one of the taglines we came up with when we were creating the brand, and it stuck more than anything else, because the whole focus of Netvio was to try and take the step-by-steps of configuring an AV system and simplify it to every minor sort of button click we thought about and tried to remove if possible, to make it as simple as possible. And we still live by that today. We try and make everything as quick and as fast and automatic as we can, to remove all of those complex steps of setup. The software that we made really focuses on information and two-way feedback of information to to you and to us as well, so that when we're supporting or you're supporting customers during or after installation, you have all of the information available to you in this amazing user interface. And also through our API as well, you'll have all of the data that we collect on the system is available through the API for you to utilize as well. So for everyone from sort of installers who are really focused on just simple bar systems or simple residential systems, right up to if you're a Crestron programmer and you're doing your own driver development and you like all of the code to be, you know, of your writing. Netvio has got the tools to really help all of and everyone in between deliver really fantastic systems. We built the system from the ground up to be secure. So everything we do is built on a secure platform, and that's enabled us to work with some of the leading financial institutions, the UK's leading casino brand, and really work with a lot of companies who have incredibly stringent pen testing and security testing of products. So for everyone, you know, from residential where there's minimal security requirements, right up to, you know, large bank installs, casino installs where they have phenomenally stringent security, Netvio is prepared for those installs. And the key to the software that I'll be showing you today is based around our 360 tool, which is for Mac and Windows for the configuration of the system and includes our app builder software, and also our NetvioGO configuration app for or user app, which gives you the ability to offer a free of charge control application for simple Netvio systems for leisure and hospitality installs, and even some residential installs as well. And then, of course, we integrate with all of the major control system brands as well. So if you're doing Control 4 right through to QSys and Crestron, or any of the other brands, then we have control drivers ready to go, really powerful drivers to add incredible functionality to those. And then our lineup down at the bottom, you'll see we have a range of powerful HDBaseT matrix from 4x4 up to 8x8. And then beyond 8x8, we really think that the market now is AV over IP. We're not going to be producing 16x16s or even bigger HDBaseT matrices. We think those days are long gone. We have three really powerful series of AV over IP that I'm going to be focusing on today in the JP4, the JP460, and the JP460 DNT. And that's going to be where most of the focus is today. We have a great range of HDMI matrix, splitters, HDBaseT signal extension as well, which we're just going to look at really quickly at the beginning. And then we also have one of the key products that complements our AV over IP range, which is the SW series of network switches, so 24 port and 48 port switch that go way beyond what a lot of other people are offering in terms of networking.
Before we move on, James, sorry.
Sure.
Just we got a question in the chat already. Brett has just asked, when integrating into other systems, does that include Savant?
It does. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So we have a driver for Savant. So that's ready and available on the website now. And Elan, Nice Systems, RTI. We haven't been asked for a driver that we don't have for a very long time. So you'll find all of them there. And there's two different levels of driver that we offer. So the more the systems that give us a little bit more in terms of what we can develop with our API. So Crestron, QSys, RTI, and Control 4, their software development kits enable us to really integrate deeply into their control systems and add an awful lot of additional functionality beyond just basic AV switching. So those drivers have the ability to utilize all of the IR and RS-232 outputs on all our devices, including HDBaseT receivers or AV over IP receivers, as well as everything in the central rack, and utilize those outputs as if they were part of the control system. And then also the full audio matrix capability, so the independent routing of audio from video around the system as well. Those are included in those core drivers. But for every single brand, we've got really, really fast, secure switching of video and audio content around a property. Okay.
So that really helps people get into it. I also have Matt asking about HDMI signal combiners, which you might be touching on here in a second.
Sure. When you say signal combiners, just fill me in with what you mean by that.
Look, I believe he is talking about, he's typing here, four inputs into one output.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, multi-view. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a brand new product. We're just about to launch the multi-viewer, but it's one we're really, really proud of. And that is going to be a really, really neat, inexpensive way to add multi-view to a Netvio system, and we'll have full integration with Go. Because it's not launched, I'm not going to be focusing on that product today, but it will launch very, very soon, and we can send over some information about that product and exactly how it works. But it will be fully integrated into the app builder process that I'm showing today. Okay, so this is netvio.co.uk, and the key area that you want to take a look at is in the product section up here. And here you'll see all of the hardware categories that we look at. If I jump into signal extension, there's a big advert at the top for a great product that we've launched recently, which is the EX-ARC. There's also now an EX-E-ARC for enhanced audio return channel. These are fantastic audio-only extenders for taking audio return channel back from a TV to something like a Sonos amp, or in the case of the EARC, an AVR. And they offer just the easiest install because there's no configuration. It's a cat cable between the two devices. It comes as an extender pair. In fact, all of our extenders are sold as pairs, and they are just a really, really great way to get control data as well as high quality audio back from the display over HDMI to the amp or the AVR. Down here, you'll see a comparison table of our extenders, and you can get a really great idea as to the functionality of each. So we start off with a very low cost 1080p extender set with 40 meter distance, and then across the line we jump up to 4K 30, 4K 60, 4K 60 with audio return channel. And then at the top of the line, we have the 70 meter extender with Ethernet, and now also an HDBaseT 3 extender, which offers zero compression of HDMI up to 40 meters with enhanced audio return channel as well. So that's a really great offering for home cinemas where you've got to run over cat cable but don't want any compression of the signal at all. And then a very quick look at the matrix lineup. We have a very similar chart here that spans the 4 matrix that we offer, from the HDMI 0404 with an HDBaseT 0404, a kind of hybrid HDMI and HDBaseT matrix. It's a full 8x8 matrix, but we call it the 0806 because there are 6 HDBaseT outputs. And then the top of the line, the 0808. And here you can see, again, in the comparison table, just how many inputs and outputs and all of the technology you get. But all of our matrix line is 4K 44460, all with HDR support across the line. We don't make any 1080p matrix. We don't see a place for them in 2025. we mix and match our 40-meter and 70-meter outputs rather than having two different SKUs. We simply include a mix of the HDBaseT distances on our matrix. And that way we only have a minimal number of SKUs, but we also offer scaling. So if you do need to get extra distance, then you can scale down an output, and that will double the transmission distance of that run. And then many other features like audio return channel on the matrix, Ethernet sharing, LAN extension. So just a really powerful range, and one that, like I said, I'm not going to focus too much on today. But if you do want a very simple plug and play point-to-point installation, then HDBaseT is still a great way to do that. But we are going to focus on AV over IP today. So if anyone has any questions about the matrix that they'd like me to answer at the end, then I'll certainly share those. So the three range of AV over IP, the JP4 series is really our entry level technology. This is a 4K 30 Hertz at 422 or 4K 60 at 420 technology. So 4K 60 Hertz without the higher bit depth of and HDR color. But it still features our Content Plus technology that I'll be talking about in just a second, and has video wall capabilities as well. So if you're looking for solutions, AV over IP solutions, where budget is more important than the overall picture quality and having the best picture, then the JP4 series is a great offering and offers many of the features and functionality of our higher end systems. But the real sweet spot in the line now, if you're looking for 4K 60 Hertz, 444, Dolby Vision support, and enhanced audio return channel, but also ultra low latency as well, then JP460 is just the ideal solution for most commercial and residential applications. And then really the best commercial product is the JP460 DNT, which is one of the first products on the market based on the new Dante AV platform, specifically Dante AV-A. And this is effectively the same hardware as the JP460, but running the Dante software and the pre-licensed with Dante AV, which gives you 2 channels in and 2 channels out of Dante audio. But for the first time, Dante AV brings video into the Dante realm as well, and we'll take a look at exactly what that means for commercial installs that are already running a Dante audio stack. Now they can add video into that as well. And also then we also have 2 modes for Dante for the JP460 DNT. We have the Netvio mode, which enables it to operate hand in hand with the JP460 platform, running the Netvio controller with the Netvio API, compatible with our Netvio switches. And then we also have Dante AV mode, where it runs completely within a Dante system architecture. So is configured and commissioned with Dante controller, integrates with Dante domain manager and Dante director, and can be run completely within that Dante universe. So in the JP460 world, you still get the Dante audio, but in the Dante AV world, you get full control of the video in there as well, which is really powerful for those of you who are using Dante, particularly with their online architectures like domain manager and director. So I like to start by talking about some of the features that really make Netvio stand apart from the rest of the market. And one of the biggest is our Content Plus, our feature of all of our AV over IP encoders. And Content Plus is effectively a secondary encoder that we include within our encoder chip. Right after the HDMI input, there is a splitter, and that scales one side down to 1080, and the other side is sent through at full 4K 444 to the main encoder chip. The 1080 scale side, that goes over to a dedicated H.264, H.265 capable RTSP stream chip, which enables us to take the content out to the local network. We've implemented 8021Q VLAN tagging so that we can actually, even though it comes out of the same Ethernet port, we can actually tag the data into a secondary VLAN, which we can also do with the Dante audio as well. So from one chip, we can send the 3 different streams, the video, the primary video, the RTSP Content Plus stream, and the Dante audio can go to 3 separate VLANs, or can go to 2 VLANs, or just 1 VLAN, however your network is configured. And Content Plus gives you the ability to get that 1080p video and stream that to any device that supports H.264 playback. So that could be a signage platform, it could be lecture capture. We have some great university installs and school installs now that are using the Content Plus feature to stream straight into their lecture capture. We use it in our NetvioGO app to provide really high quality video on the device, be it the Netvio touchscreen or iPad or Android or iOS devices, or even we have several installs where the integrator was just simply not able to run a cable to one of the receiving devices, and Wi-Fi was really the only option for streaming content from the source devices. One of my favorite examples is a residential install not too far from where I live, where they had a tree house in the garden, which had great Wi-Fi coverage, but didn't have the ability to run any additional video cables for the video. So they set up an Apple TV in there, and then they utilized the VLC app to stream the content from the Netvio system, so that the kids were still able to get the content from the AV system. So really innovative uses for this. One of my favorite installs that we've done just recently, this season, Mercedes Formula One are using Netvio in their pit lane video distribution, and they actually created a custom app that for the iPads of all of the teams and all of their hospitality guests, so that they can select from the different streams of video that come into the pit lane. That could be data, statistics, it could be specific cameras around the track. And in the app, they press on the preview stream, and then when they press, it opens up full screen, and they can see this high quality 1080p video on the iPad, playing back full screen, all powered by Content Plus. So some really great user cases, and I'm sure you guys are going to come up with some really, really powerful ways to use the technology as well. A couple of other features that many other brands don't have, and we've really innovated first. One of them is fail-safe firmware updates. So this is a secondary storage chip in each of our AV over IP endpoints, which has a backup of our firmware installed, so that if the worst was to happen during a firmware update, and it very often does with the sites we're working on, and of course, at the worst time, the power was to go out or someone was to trip the circuit, then during a firmware update, that can be absolutely critical to AV over IP endpoints. And throughout my career, I've had it where entire systems have been lost several times. And with Netvio, we really didn't ever want that to be the case, where we have 50 or 100 units that needs to be reworked in order to get them live. It just is such a bad experience to have that happen to you. And from day one, we've put this secondary storage chip so that there is a secondary backup of the firmware. And if the worst was to happen during a firmware update, a reboot of the unit will cause it to boot from the unaffected partition, and you'll get the unit back up online, and you can rerun the firmware update. And this time it will not have its power cut, and you'll be absolutely fine. So all of our AV over IP series support these fail-safe firmware updates, so you will never have a bad experience running firmware updates, and can be happy to update to the latest version and run all the latest features without fear that you're going to lose the system. And then my favorite really part of the system, my experience is that with any new AV over IP system, the biggest, steepest learning curve is learning about configuring the switches and the intricacies of networking. And if you don't come from an IT background, managed switches are a real minefield. There's 1,000 functions that stop AV over IP from working properly, and there's only 5 or 6 that get it working. Now, Netvio have got some really great documentation for some key brands of switches. I know there'll be a lot of Cisco and Netgear fans out there, and if you're using those switches, I love those switches too. I think those are great, but there are many other great brands of switches on the market, and we've got guides for many of them, not all of them. But if you haven't got a guide from us, we have got a sheet that lists all of the functions that need to be set up and configured for Netvio. So if there is a brand that that you're committed to for your networking, we're happy to work with them. It lists the requirements that we need for the switch, and then what needs to be set in them. But we don't have a sort of visual guide with pictures as to how to configure it. But with Netvio, we found that we were doing an awful lot of support. You know, the first hour of support, if for an AV over IP system, was helping people configure a product that we were not selling, and we wanted to give a better experience than that. So the Netvio IPSW series switches, they come out of the box pre-configured for Netvio AV over IP. On the front, you've got the white boxes on the left-hand side tell you where to plug our controller in. There's another white on the right-hand side that tells you where to connect the wider network or your Wi-Fi router to. And then all the other ports are pre-configured for the encoders and decoders with the right VLAN configuration, so that you can get the content plus content out to the wider network, and also the Dante audio now out to the wider network without accessing a web UI. In fact, there's no configuration on this unit at all. It just comes pre-configured. So that means that it's not particularly well suited for sort of integration in high IT environments. I would say that, you know, your sort of large corporates, your secure installs like banks, where they want to program their special security config onto the switches. It's not really designed for those installs, but it is perfect for sort of leisure installs, for residential installs, where you might have been planning on running a dedicated AV over IP switch anyway. Then it really is a great way to install that, and it just makes the install plug and play. There's no need to log in and set up. You just connect all of your devices, open up the Netvio software, and you're ready to go. So if you value your time, then the Netvio switches are a fantastic time saver to make AV over IP plug and play. Yeah, they're perfectly configured every time.
James, just before you go on here to the app, yeah, that plug and play stuff is really cool. I got a system for my very first time set up within 15 to 30 minutes, which is very cool. I just had Brett here, and I know a lot of other people would be curious. Unify switches and that ecosystem.
Yes. Yep, we have a guide for Unify as well. They have, I think, their most recent series of updates for their switches have been a really big improvement for AV over IP. It used to be that only the very top end were really suitable for AV over IP, but I think the last few years they've really brought the rest of their lineup, and we can recommend a lot more of their switches for use with AV over IP. So yeah, unifies great, and a really budget friendly option as well. So NetvioGO is a license-free application for video and audio control, and it runs on iPad, Android tablets, as well as mobile phones as well. I'm going to be demoing it from an iPhone today, and it brings the ability to do multiple zone, multiple video zone, also multi-screen and multi-amplifier installations with very, very simple config to customers that might have in the past sort of balked at having a full control system due to the cost and time that needs to be charged for programming these systems up. We wanted to create an install for these light commercial applications and some residential applications where the customer wants the video distribution, wants to have control of sources and displays and their audio, but really did not want to go for a full control solution and maybe a full smart home. So this app kind of plugs the gap below that. Like I mentioned, we still absolutely, we really see the value in offering full smart home solutions and full control solutions and custom designed interfaces like you can make on QSys and AMX and Crestron. We absolutely think, that is what the bread and butter of our industry, and we've got the great drivers, we've got a really, really powerful API to make that work. But the NetvioGO app really opens up some other avenues to lower cost systems, and you'll see today just how simple it is to set up and configure those. And that's all done through the app builder software that is part of Netvio360. So this tool is a very visual way to set up your system, be it a Matrix or AV over IP, or as you can see here on new multi-view device as well. And these drivers are all downloaded from the cloud. As we release new drivers, they are downloaded automatically to the software, as well as firmware updates for any of the products that you're running, and any software updates as well. They all connect from the Netvio cloud. So every time you open up Netvio360, you can be sure that it's checked with our cloud and kept your system up to date. And it will announce any firmware updates that are needed for any Netvio devices that it finds as well. And then we've really tried to focus on keeping the interface code free. So the drivers, they create the interface, they create the all the control codes and APIs for any devices. You just simply need to enter where it's connected to our system or the IP address of the device if it's an IP device, and the Go app will do the rest. So it's not infinitely customizable. It's not about creating UIs. It's about creating full system control apps quickly and easily with very little cost, that gives you just another tool in your arsenal to offer your customers. And one of the key features, sorry, I've lost a slide there. I did have a slide about the amplifier brands that I seem to have hidden. So one of the key features, one of the products Netvio doesn't make is amplifiers. So we actually integrate with a large number, an expanding number of amplifier brands, from Ashley Audio, Next Audio, Blaze, Cloud, Monitor Audio, Sonance, Yamaha. We have a huge range of AVRs that we work with, so Onkyo, Denon, Integra, and several other brands of AVR. And these provide the amplifier brands offer really, really powerful two-way audio control, so volume sliders and also independent audio switching through the Go app as well. And I'm happy to announce, as we showed at Infocom last week, that we are very, very shortly going to be launching integration with PowerSoft and LEA amplifiers as well. So those drivers will be added to the app driver section of Netvio 360 very, very soon. So just before the demonstration, we break down the use cases of Netvio into three categories, and these are, I'm quite sure that everyone on the call today will exist in number 2 and 3. So traditional integration, which is the majority of our market, so integrating with control systems, integrating with different brands of switches. Several of you may well exist in the Dante video area or the Dante audio area, and I want to show you today how Netvio can bring video into your ecosystem as well. What I also want to make you aware of is this Netvio end-to-end solution, because it's that's going to add potentially a third sort of customer base and approach for you to the market, where you can provide a full Netvio install using our switches, using our control app, and it will just give you another string to your bow to offer your customers. And you may find that maybe 10%, maybe 20% of your customer base would really suit a Netvio end-to-end install. So the Netvio end-to-end install is effectively, like I mentioned, using the Netvio switches, the pre-configured switches, because you're looking at a dedicated AV installation. You're looking for 4K 60 powerful AV over IP, and utilize the NetvioGO app as the control platform for that. So there's no reliance on any third-party control, networking. We would still recommend, obviously, integration with amplifiers. I think the third-party amplifiers, we're not an audio only focused brand. There are many people making some really great amps out on the market, so we're happy to control those. And then we could also utilize the Netvio touchscreen as well. We offer a PoE touchscreen that can run the NetvioGO app as well, and that thing is built like a tank. It's designed to be put on a bar, you know, really high turnover bar. It's water resistant as well, so it can get beer splashed over it, and it's not going to cripple the system. So we're really focused on this being a great tool for these light commercial applications for Netvio end-to-end. And of course, the app will still run on sort of tablets and phones, and provide this amazing interface and great experience. This image as well is also showing how Content Plus can be used within the Go app, and then you can actually bring up a control over the top of the video so that you can navigate menus on device. And that was developed for a specific customer here in the UK. They had a very large bar with over 100 displays in the bar, and the manager in their office, they only had Wi-Fi access. They didn't have a display connected to the system, and they wanted a way to be able to change the channel on their sources. So we gave them the ability to see the content on the screen and also navigate the menu at the same time. Just a really great innovation there. And that has almost no setup time to enable that. It's a really neat feature. That's the slide I was waiting for. Right, it's here. So these are the some of the products that we're working with: Blaze, Next, Cloud, Monitor Audio, Yamaha, Ashley, and very soon LEA and PowerSoft amps coming as well. And then the area that I know everybody here will sit in today, so the traditional integration. So this is where you already have a control solution, you already have a networking brand that you're committed to and working with and know and understand, And Netvio can slot right into that environment. We can take over all of the matrixing and AV over IP and signal distribution with our powerful drivers for the leading control brands: Crestron, Control4, Savant, Elan, Nice, RTI, QSys, AMX, all of these brands. We have really powerful drivers for us. And then switch brands. So the ones that we have guides for: Netgear, Cisco, Arachnus, Dratec, Cambian, Nevio, Luxel, and Ubiquiti. And then we don't need a guide for Netvio because the instruction manual is printed on the faceplate, where you just simply connect the controller, your network, and your TX and RX, and your switch configuration is done. So a really simple way to do AV over IP networking. But then finally, Dante and the Dante AV-A platform. So it's not just Dante audio compatibility. This now is the ability to run your video over the Dante ecosystem. So using controller for setup and routing, but also the ability to integrate with Dante's cloud and centrally managed platforms like Domain Manager and Director. We were seeing with a lot of corporate installs, with a lot of university installs, that the requests were coming in for remote monitoring and remote control, remote access to the system. And Netvio is we built our software platform during the pandemic, so none of our developers were able to actually meet in person when we were planning the system and starting to build the Netvio system out. So with just basic port forwarding, all of our entire system was developed and tested over the internet. Which means that, with simple VPNs or port forwarding, you're able to access absolutely everything, every part of the Netvio system. But we wanted to go beyond that. And when we looked at the market and we were doing our sort of analysis of what was going on, we saw what Audinate had created with the Dante online ecosystem. We saw where they were going with their Director tool. And we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, because what they had created was fantastic. And if your customers are looking for this remote view, so that they have administrators in their team who are looking for full system overviews online, then Domain Manager or Director is just an incredibly powerful tool for those teams, or even you as an integrator, to manage multiple sites of installations for AV over IP and audio distribution. And Director is getting more powerful every year as well. So everything can be managed through this. Even the control integration can be done through their online platforms. So they have drivers now for Crestron and AMX, also QSys, and full API available for custom programming of modules as well. So with that said, unless there's any more questions, Josh, I'm going to jump over to a demo.
Yeah, let's do it.
Great. So I'm going to open up here. I'm running on a Mac today, but as I mentioned, Netvio360 is available for Windows as well. And Netvio360 is the tool for you, the integrator, to configure and commission the Netvio system. So when you open the software up, the first thing you do is hit search, and a couple of things are going to happen already here. The software has already gone to the cloud and just checked if any new versions of Netvio360 are available. It's also gone online and checked if any new drivers or firmware updates are available for any of the products, and it's downloaded those. We store the firmware updates locally on your laptop, and we do that so that if you go to a site and the internet's not ready yet and you've got to install, then it will use the local storage of the firmware so that it can install that update. And every time the software opens, it will check and download any new versions. So most of the time you'll be up to date with the firmware, even if you've not got an internet connection, and it will install that from the local storage. I've got a tick here that's telling me that my firmware is up to date. If I did have an update, it would give me an update button, and in 2 clicks, I'd be able to install the firmware updates on all of the Netvio hardware that I'm running, and it will get you up to date. So you're running all the latest fixes, all the latest features every single time. No matter how long it's been sat on Josh's shelves in the warehouse, you'll be up and running with the latest firmware. And when you hit configure, you'll be taken through to our secure web interface. So this is the web interface now of the Matrix, or in this case, the AV over IP controller. We're connected with HTTPS, so there's no unsecured password transfer across the network. And the first time you log in to a system, it will be on the default. So this is admin, and then the password is all lowercase password. It's the first thing in all of our user guides, but it's still our #1 support question that we get asked. So admin password, all lowercase for both. And the first time you log in and connect, you will be asked which AV over IP system you're running. So whether you want to run a JP4 or a JP460 system. You can then also use the scan and assign function to automatically assign to whichever system you have online. The reason we offer the other two is that it is possible to set up your system without having any encoders and decoders online. So if you do want to do an offline configuration, that is possible. But today I've got all the kit here, we're ready to go. So I hit scan and assign, it's found 10 devices straight away. It's just going to keep looking for a minute, and then it's going to open up my main configuration interface and show me all those devices. So here you can see a list of all of the devices I've got. I've got 1 JP460 encoder, and then I've got 4 Dante encoders. Likewise, I've got 1 JP460 decoder and 4 Dante decoders as well. And the first thing that the system is going to do, as it's just discovered these devices, is it's going to perform a factory reset on all of the devices to make sure that all of them are in the factory default state. It could be that you've taken a unit that you've had connected to another system and have plugged it into this one, and we just want to make sure that from the get-go, as soon as it's been taken out of the box, your system is running on a known set of configurations and the factory default. It's incredibly infuriating when you work with a product that might have been used for a demonstration or might have been connected to your demo setup or test rig in your office. You take it to site and then something isn't configured right. So just whilst those all perform the initial synchronization, we'll take a look across the top here. So in this top row, we've got our controller options, which is where, and this on a matrix, this would say matrix options, because the matrix configuration is all the same interface as AV over IP. This training today, although it's on AV over IP, everything you're about to see is exactly the same really on the matrix side, perhaps with the exception of video walls over here. So this is where we set up our IP addressing for the unit. We can give the controller an alias name so that when it's searched, it will come up with a friendly name for the controller. We've got the ability to reset, reboot, and also firmware update if you're performing a manual firmware update. We can change the password for the system, and we can also disable plain text API and HTTPS if those are not compatible with your control system, or you have a high security environment where they won't accept Telnet as being active on their system. You can turn that off. And for really high secure environments, you can upload custom SSL and TLS certificates in a wide range of formats that the IT administrator can then use to control access to the device on a user or MAC address level. We're not going to do a video wall demo today, but there is a video on our YouTube channel and also a guide on video walls. So if you are looking to do video walls, we can handle right up to a 16 by 16 video wall on AV over IP. We can see here the MAC address of the controller and also the mode it's running in, so that we can see very quickly if the reason you can't discover any devices is because it's in the wrong mode. And then also the ability to back up the controller. This is, again, a key feature not available on so many other brands, where once you've commissioned the controller, you're not able to take a backup of that configuration and easily import that over to another controller that you could run as a cold spare, which is, again, very important for mission critical installs, or just to have the backup so that if the controller did fail, you don't have to commission the system again, which in large installs with several hundred devices, that's a real time saver. Now all of my devices have discovered, and at this point, we would recommend, and one of the things we tell you to do in our guide is to make a note of each MAC address as you're installing the system. But I know what it's like. I've been on sites where I've done the installs myself, and you've not taken a note of that. And Netvio does, I think, a really good job, excuse me, of enabling you to work out which source is which by having a device. And of course, my devices have all switched off because I've been talking too long. Let's see, there we go. So if you press the play preview stream, you get a live preview from the source device. So I know that this is now my Apple TV. Based on what I can see there. So it helps me to label up my system without necessarily needing. And you can see the kind of two-way feedback that we give on each device. We have the MAC address, the IP address, the firmware version installed, the video resolution that's coming through, how the encoder is configured, the EDID that's in use, and also our Content Plus preview URL as well. Now, none of this is configured at the moment, so I've not got valid IP addresses here. And if I add my audio filter in the top right-hand corner, sorry, it's early, up here, then I can also see my Dante, my audio information, and I can see my Dante IP address as well. So the first step would be obviously to label these all up. So if I just put some fake names in here, and then I label these up as well. Now, on this side, it is possible in the manage area here to use the identify function, and this will print the MAC address details of the devices up on the screen so that I can see which device is which to, again, help me label it. So very, very easy on the display side to see exactly which device is which. So if we just call this the main bar, and we'll call this the lobby and the cafe. So I've got some of my sources labeled up. I'm just going to delete the other ones that I'm not going to be using for this demo. So there's my 3x3 system that I'm going to use for the demo. If I want to get these sources configured, then I simply select one or many or all of those devices, and I can come in here and enable Content Plus. I can choose whether it's H.264 or H.265, depending on what I'm streaming to. We also have really powerful EDID management on Netvio, as well as HDCP management on Netvio as well. So we can affect the HDCP value, and we can do that either on encoder or decoder as well, as part of our scaling function. We can fine tune the audio output. Each of our encoders has got an analog audio out, so we can fine tune the volume level. So if you are taking the audio out into an amplifier, we can match the audio at the source to ensure you get the same volume levels across each. We can also use the IR, serial, and CEC test harnesses here to start sending commands to devices as well, which enables us to test that. And of course, the ability to send IR, RS-232, and CEC is all available from our API as well. So if you wanted to use that in your control programs, you can. I'm going to set up the settings to use a Netvio switch, because I've got a Netvio switch online here today, and setting up the Content Plus and the Dante is just as easy as toggling on. I'm using the IP SW switch, and that's going to apply all the network settings I need for the network switch. As I mentioned, our EDIB management is fantastic across our matrix and across AV over IP. It's all software driven. There are no dip switches. So if you want the best quality video from your system, it's as easy as just pressing set EDID on this button to choose that. We have a list of built-in EDIDs, and then we also have user files where you can upload your own EDIDs to the system as well. And then on the output side, we also have the HDCP management, or what we call extended compatibility mode, which will fix all of your HDCP issues. I'll say no more than that. The output mode enables the scaler to be set, where you can set a upscale, downscale from 4K down to 720p, and choose your frame rate as well. In pass-through mode, you will get our new ultra-low latency mode, which takes our end-to-end latency down to 6 milliseconds, which is just lightning fast. I mean, there's so much more latency in the display than there is now in our AV over IP encode and decode with ultra low latency. It does slightly increase source switching times, which is why we don't run it by default. So we prefer fast switching over low latency, but it depends on your application. You have the choice to enable that, and that's just a toggle switch. And then here we have the ability to set up automatic power on and off of any connected displays, and also the ability to upload custom graphics, so that when there is no source present, you can upload a custom graphic to the screen. All of the other functions are the same as the encoder, but there is just one difference here, and this is display control. So for that auto on and off function, and also for our NetvioGO app to work, we have the ability to upload custom CEC, IR, or serial codes to perform power on and off, and also to perform volume up and down on the screen. And that, again, is what our Go app uses. We also have, if you're using IR, we have a built-in database for the major brands of display, so that if you are just using Samsung, then you don't have to go and look up those IR commands on their own. Those are built into the system. And at this point, you're really up and running with and ready to go with the system. So now I can take and just copy out my Content Plus stream URL, and I do that just by clicking on it here. And if I go down to VLC, then I can paste that URL into the network stream, and that's going to load up now my Content Plus stream for me. So that's streaming. If I turn the volume down, I can play that a little more, so that I've got my Content Plus stream ready to go. So you see, that was just one button click to set up my networking, one button click to turn on the Content Plus feature, which isn't on by default. And then we've got streaming to my Mac over Wi-Fi. I've not got any wires in my computer here, so this stream is now coming over Wi-Fi in 1080p 30 Hertz with H.265 encoding. A really neat feature, and like I said, there are so many different applications for Content Plus. I'm sure hopefully you're going to think of some really great ways to use that feature in your installs. So at this point, you're pretty much ready to begin routing, and I can start routing content here around the system. I'm sending video and audio. If I want to route independent channels, then I can open up and I can send my audio only here. I can link my audio return here as well, which is super easy to get audio return working. I'd mentioned that we have some great features for programmers. So if any of you are Crestron, AMX, or QSys programmers, then we have the debug menu down here, which you get access to using Control and J. And the debug menu gives you access to all the API commands that the interface, our own control interface, is using. So here I can see my set matrix commands that I just used, and we utilize a JSON API. And the reason we do that is so that we can utilize this ID function. And that means that if you've got, say, a large corporate or university install with 50 plus processors, you can use the ID function so that every single command response comes back with the same ID. And that way, brands that I've worked for in the past that weren't using JSON, there would have to be a dedicated processor set up to handle the communication with the AV over IP that all of the other processors talk to. We don't need that with Netvio. Our system utilizes JSON so that every command is sent back with an ID, and therefore you can parse that ID and know that you're utilizing the response from your specific command as well. So that is, if you need it, if you are a programmer, that is a really neat feature. It's hidden because we didn't want to complicate the UI, but that is a really great tool for programmers in Netvio.
James, another question here from Matt, just before we move on, maybe a good chance to answer it. He's asking if we can fail over to Content Plus if the input is not available.
So no, it doesn't quite work like that. Our decoders are only going to decode the primary stream. The Content Plus stream couldn't really be used as a backup. If the main encode stream is not working, then the Content Plus stream won't be working either. They are fed from the same encoder. But certainly we do have mission critical installations where there are two encoders for each source, and they've looped the HDMI through so that there are two copies. Sometimes, usually that's because it's sitting in a different part of the network, and they wanted to create smaller subsections of the network. So that way they don't have the risk if they lose one switch, for example, they don't lose the whole system. One of our casinos that we work with, they break it down. It's a 5-floor casino. They've got a switch per floor, and they've got a set of encoders per floor for each source, so that if one switch goes down, it's shared from all of the others. So that's a better way to do sort of redundancy within the system. And then each floor has its own controller as well, so that they have just this extra level of redundancy. There's no chance of one failure affecting the others. So no, Content Plus isn't kind of used for that, but it could be that if you've got different streaming devices available as a backup, then those could be used if the AV over IP switch was to go down. But again, I think there's better ways to handle redundancy. You know, using switches with redundant power supplies is really important in high mission critical installations, and also running a backup controller as well, because that can be seen as a single point of failure. Although of all of our products that we make, the controller is proven the most reliable box that that we have. So we have a really good track record of reliability and on all of our hardware.
That's great. Yeah, and just to confirm, if an input does go down, it will just fail over to that uploaded image that you can customize.
Correct. Yes. So any source not present, it will by default, it will show a little message in the corner of the screen as well saying waiting for source standby, which means that the source device is in standby. And then yes, you can customize the graphics. So a lot of integrators put up a sign saying this source is currently off or disconnected, please switch on, and then their own custom logo as well. Some people put their phone number on it for support, which I think is a bad idea because you're kind of encouraging people to ring you before they're doing any troubleshooting. I think put up a message that says, you know, switch on this source is the best way to go, because 99 times out of 100, that will be what the issue is if they're seeing that screen.
Right. And just, you touched on it earlier, all the encoders, the encoders have the HDMI loop out on them as well.
They do, yeah. JP4, JP460, DNT, all of those work. Actually, that's a good point. I've just thought of that. I don't think I've stressed enough. You saw that I am utilizing both JP460 DNT and JP460 encoders in the same system here. JP4 exists separately. It's a separate system. So JP4 is not able to be mixed and matched with JP460 and JP460 DNT. The JP4, the 30 Hertz chip, is not able to stream to the JP460 chipset. So those systems are separate. But JP460 and JP460 DNT, those can be mixed and matched and utilized together. So if you don't need Dante in an area or on a display, then you can save the cost of the Dante license and the additional cost of the Dante unit by just specifying a JP460 box as well. So the last section of the training today is just going to be about how to quickly configure a NetvioGO install. So if you were using a third-party control system, now you'd jump over to that and you'd utilize our control drivers for that control system. But to create a NetvioGO install, I simply press create app project up here. I am just going to correct these numbers because they're running out of sequence after I deleted my my setup. So I've now got outputs 1, 2, and 3, input 1, 2, and 3, and outputs 1, 2, and 3. And when I press the create app project, the Go app project button in the corner, it's going to find the devices that I've put on my system. It's taken the name of those devices and put them on. It's also taken the IP address of the controller and it's entered that IP address and also the password if I've changed the password, so that it's all set up ready to control this controller. And then I simply just need to add drivers for each of these devices. So if I go to media players and find my my Apple TV driver, then I can drag that onto the Apple TV, replace that driver. And Apple TV, we use IR. We had an IP driver, but Apple keeps breaking it, so we use IR now for Apple TV. Same for my set-top box. We've got Sky TV in the UK, so I'm going to grab my Sky box and just drag that onto there. And then my media player, I'm going to use a CEC media player driver. We have two different types of CEC media player which should work, and also a whole host of other boxes, and that just uses HDMI to control the driver. If you need any other drivers, we promise a 48-hour turnaround on developing new control drivers for new sources. If you have requests for amplifier brands you'd like to see added, those take a little bit longer. We're currently working around a 1 to 2 month turnaround for new amplifier drivers. A lot of that is usually getting hold of the hardware for us to develop them with. But if you do need another brand, then please speak to Josh to request those. So that's my sources set up now. If I want to set up my displays, then I'm going to separate these out, because what I want to do is create an area for each of these. So I click on the area button, drag a box over the area, and we'll just call that the bar. I set the name, and I can also choose an image, and we have a database of images that we include with our software, but you could use any image from your laptop. I'll do the same for the lobby area. And what these areas are doing, on the first page of NetvioGO, the first page of the app is actually the area selection page. So this is a one I've created earlier, and I'm setting up these areas so that when I click on them, I go through to the displays that are in these areas. So this is what I'm seeing here, and I'm setting these up now in this area function. So we'll call that lobby and select a suitable image. And last one, we'll do the cafe. So really simple to get these area names set up with some really nice graphics. And if you take photos of the install and you've got those on your system ready to go, then that will make life really simple. And I'm going to set up an amplifier here as well. So if let's take a Blaze Power Connect amplifier, and we'll get that set up in the system as well. So here I enter the IP address of the amp, and now you can see that I've got the audio inputs and the outputs of that amp. So I will take the analog audio from my encoders and route that into the amp that would obviously match the hardware install that you've created. Take my speaker from output 1 and put that there. I'll then duplicate the speaker, put that into this area and connect that up to the output as well. Duplicate it again and connect that up to the output. And now I have created a 3-zone AV over IP and a 3-zone audio installation. And you can have as many screens in an area as you want. You can put sort of up to I think 16 displays in one area. So if your install makes sense to connect those in that way, then it's really easy to do that. But usually, if it's residential especially, you would have one screen per area. More than likely, for most installs, you're going to have maybe 3 or 4 in an area. I recommend trying to break them down into less screens per area. The UI is less busy at that point. And then to upload it to your project, to your device, you simply press publish. It'll ask you to remind you to save your application, and then it will create a QR code that can be scanned on the phone or on the tablet, and you simply scan that QR code and it will load it up into the application. You can also publish it to the matrix or to the controller device, and that way the project is stored on the controller. That's very useful if in high security environments where you may not have access for the Wi-Fi to your laptop device on the same network. That can be an issue where you can only access through hardwired devices. So that's a good way to get around that. And then also you can take the file. This file is stored in your documents folder as well. We create a Netvio folder, and your project files are stored here as MVP files, and you can email that or WhatsApp or message that to somebody and have them load the file in from there. So if all else fails, there is still a way to get the project onto a device. And then in the Go app, here's one I made earlier with, and this is actually the demo mode that runs in the app. So when you open NetvioGO, you can download this now from your app store, be it the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. And down at the bottom, you'll see the demo projects, and you can run the sports bar demo or any of the other demonstrations and get this interface to show your customers or to get a handle as to what's possible within NetvioGO. So if I jump into the main bar, then we can see the 4 displays that are in the main bar area. I've got my sources across the bottom, and if I want to change content on any of the screens, I can simply drag and drop that content. I can use the apply to all function to set the same content onto all the screens. And then I can also use the audio picker to change the audio that's playing back. So this is going to change the audio of the power zone amplifier here so that I'm not affecting the video when I'm changing audio. And we also have a lock function which stops the audio from changing. So this was particularly made for video walls where you may not necessarily want to change the audio based on what's playing, but a really, really useful feature there as well. Underneath each of the sources, I've got the ability to pull up a control interface. So this is a simple Apple TV interface, or for a more complicated device like a set-top box, then we have multi-screen, so you can swipe over and get access to the additional buttons. And that's if you've got the screen in front of you that you're controlling. But as I mentioned earlier, some devices, some installs, you may not necessarily have a screen in front of every user. And if that's the case, then you can pull up the Content Plus screen, and then you can pull up the control over the top of that and start navigating menus with the full screen playback as well. This is just a really, really cool feature unique to NetvioGO to make it really easy for bar managers to utilize that. Down at the bottom, I've got my 2-way volume control with a volume slider. We do have the ability to affect the min and max volumes of an amplifier, so you can set that within the Go app as well. It has 2-way status feedback of the mute state of an area as well, and also we have the volume draw here, so you can see every room in the install, every area in the install, and affect that all from this page. That was a request that people didn't want to navigate from room to room to do the audio control. They wanted one sort of click and they could access every single volume draw. So the reason this stage monitors area is different, so this would be volume control of a device that we don't have a 2-way driver for. So you would just have volume up and down and a mute buttons for those areas. But if we do have 2-way drivers for any of the amplifier brands we've talked about, then you can drag and drop those using those slider bars. And then very quickly, this is a video wall install. So this is a 2x2 video wall, and this is very similar to how our multi-viewer will work as well. So you'll be able to choose from a list of presets, and you simply choose your preset and split it into individual displays, or set it back to a single display across a single source across all screens. And of course, our multi-viewer will also do picture-in-picture as well, and many different layouts of picture-in-picture, all configured from this interface. So really, really simple to set up and use. The logo at the top here is customizable. You can set this to the brand or to your logo. So it doesn't have to be the Netvio logo. And yeah, it's a really simple and free way to get control of the Netvio system. So I've run over by about 20 minutes. Apologies. I wanted to make sure I showed you NetvioGO though as well, because I think it's really key to do that. Josh, I think we'll have to do another one in the future to go a lot more in detail on like maybe Dante and maybe some other aspects that we've not managed to cover today. But hopefully there's a few questions out there before we wrap up.
Absolutely. Look, if anyone does have any questions, send them through now. We don't have any in the chat currently, but that was fantastic, James. Thank you very much for taking us through all that, showing it off and everything. It is fantastic software and solutions that you've come up with. And we're very happy to have it on board and get it out there.
Thank you.
I think it will solve a lot of problems for a lot of people and just make life a lot easier on installs and projects. There's another option out there for people to do this type of stuff with and to make it easy, which is cool. What you've just run through, you've said it before, it's available for the AVoIP or IP systems as well as the matrices. If you do need any drivers, like James, we've been discussing Foxtel already a little bit. I know that's a pretty common one. If anyone else has any other sources or anything like that, I'm more than happy to discuss it and get it going to make your installation of your projects work seamlessly. But other than that, I think we're all covered. Look, we're going to have a demo set up in our offices here in Seaford in Melbourne. We're going to be bringing Netvio to integrate this year at our stand A330 in Sydney, the ICC, for that show, and we'll be doing live demonstrations of the software, the hardware, and all the other things to go with Netvio, as well as, of course, Kordz and all the other brands we're distributing. That'll all be there. If anyone has any questions, needs any demos, any samples, anything that I can help with, I'm more than happy to help with that, but just let us know. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for the positive comments, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've got a great team of software engineers here in the UK who work really hard on this, and yeah, I'm glad you see they've developed some really great features and platforms to work with. I hope you enjoy working with them on your first projects. But thank you very much for coming along today. I do appreciate your time. It's great to have had so many of you on board, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Fantastic. Thanks, James. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. Jim. We'll get the video out and recording once it's all ready. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye, everybody.